A well-behaved woman is trim and proper. Chores always done, not a hair out of place. When the husband comes home, she greets him with a smile.
I'm sorry, what the fuck?
Are you tired of Hitler?
Have you mercy?
Okay, one liar as a kid can find another liar.
I want that stricken from the record.
How else is she gonna learn if she doesn't have a feather?
I could go fuck in the big house.
You're a mess, girl.
I am here to audition for Babysitters Club extras. I brought my own hammer.
I covered a serial killer with the last week, and it was
Which
pretty good.
one?
Pardon?
Which serial killer?
Linda
Ah.
Hazard, Dr. Linda Hazard. Yeah.
I'll have to listen to that.
It's it was very entertaining. I obviously, prefer doing episodes with all three
Obviously.
of us, but I fucking
I
love when
honestly-
you and I get together, and I love when he and I
Yeah.
get together. It's just
I like to hear your episodes. Like your episodes when I was gone in Italy were hysterical. I love, and now I feel like, anytime B's not here, we should explain like some sort of like crazy story.
he's
Like,
gone
why
on an
he's-
adventure, and we have written him many
He's panning
many
for-
letters telling him that
Yes.
we are in yearning for his company.
We bitterly regret the distance between us, but we hope his panning for gold works out.
And we pray for his safe return to
We
the
do.
good Lord Cthulhu.
Cthulhu, yes. Almighty be his name.
All hail Cthulhu.
I don't know. I couldn't think of anything.
Welcome. This is Well Behaved Women, a podcast for girls by girls and about girls
With one guy.
and a guy
And one guy.
when he's here.
Yeah.
When he's not off on his adventures.
Yes. On his adventures.
Yep. He cannot join us this week, which sucks, but we are going to make it do. So last week I covered I don't know, a few weeks ago. I don't know
Last episode.
Last episode. I don't remember what order we're going to be releasing these in either, because we've been
Oh, that's right.
recording out of order.
Previously on Well-Behaved Women.
I don't fucking know what happened. It was just all so confusing.
Apparently there was a lot of crying.
Anyway, we covered a serial killer, but it was an episode that Kyria and I had done back when the show first started, and I thought that would be kind of just fun to redo some of these old guys, not to take away from what Kyria and I had, but because you're a new audience, and that's kind of the whole point, is to tell a story that
Yeah.
you don't know is coming. And so we're going to do that again.
Excellent.
Yep.
All right.
But now I need you to do voices.
I will try my best. We know how that goes on this podcast.
How do we start, though?
This year in history.
Love it. The Soviet forces liberate the Lodz ghetto. Only 877 Jews of the initial population of 164,000 remain at this time.
Okay.
The future Queen Elizabeth II joins the Auxiliary Territorial Service, the ATS, as a truck driver and mechanic.
She did.
Roosevelt dies, leaving Truman in charge.
Okay.
And on April 20th, Hitler leaves his bunker for the last time for a birthday celebration, marries his mistress 9 days later, and signs his last will and testament. They would be married for 1 day and then commit suicide together. Good fucking riddance.
So 1945?
Yep.
Yay!
Definitely.
1945.
Hitler appointed Joseph Goebbels as his successor, but Joseph and his family, they'd be dead by the next night, choosing to kill his 4 children and commit suicide and
Oh.
wife, and appointing Schwerin von Krosigk as the new chancellor. And 7 days after that, the war in Europe is officially ended, because it wasn't run by fucking absolute maniacal, terrible tyrants.
Yeah, they're
anymore.
just pure evil.
No, these were ones that were like evil adjacent.
Evil
And they were like, well, but
adjacent,
I don't
okay.
want to be the one in charge of all the evil. Like, I was fine
Right.
when I was the side guy for it, but I don't want to be
Oh,
in
but you don't
charge
want
of
to
it.
take
I don't wanna be lead
responsibility
dude, no.
for following orders.
No, because Hitler was the reason for the season, you know? Without him, the movement was nothing. So it ended.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
But maybe you should kill yourself because you did horrible things.
But then I would actually have to start taking a look at like my actions in my life, and I don't really think I want to go down that road.
Oh, what a coward you are.
Okay. Okay. I'm going to go to Argentina. Bye.
Oh, yeah, see? Coward.
All right. Marsha P. Johnson was born Malcolm Michaels Jr. on August 24, 1945 in Elizabeth, New Jersey.
I'm going to take after a podcaster I admire, Ash Kell from the Morbid podcast. I'm going to guess their zodiac sign, August 24th. They're on the cusp. So August. Does that officially make Marsha / Malcolm?
Right.
Malcolm at this time. Technically a Virgo.
I think so. That comes after the Leo, right?
I believe so. I know it's before Libra because I'm self-centered. So I had to base it off that.
Well, okay, the only reason that I know that it's not that's too late for Leo is because one of my friends is a Leo and he's like super self-centered. He has big parties for himself like every year.
He wants to be the center of attention, much like a Leo.
Yes. Star of his own show.
I love it. All right. We got ourselves a Virgo.
We got a Virgo.
I believe.
Yes.
This is alleged because we haven't looked up the facts.
And I'm not gonna.
Oh,
We're
okay.
sticking by our, even if it's an incorrect assessment, because this is Murica.
Oh, no. Now I won't.
I'm just kidding.
I was like,
I think we should
look
actually back it up. Have a little bit of journalistic integrity here.
Virgo.
All right, we were right.
Yep. She's one day in.
Nice. Okay, so she barely made it, but she made it.
Excellent. But you know what? Leos are also totally fabulous. And I'm
Obviously.
seeing photos of this subject.
As are Libras. Now get out of it.
Okay. I'm turning off the internet. Got
Okay.
it. The whole internet.
The whole internet. Done.
Done. If you guys experienced an outage, let me know. Okay, sorry. Continue.
Malcolm was one of 6 children born to Malcolm Sr., a line worker at a General Motors, and Alberta, a housekeeper.
Big family.
Big family. And devoutly religious. They were, the whole family attended the African Methodist Episcopal Church, flirt with Catholicism, and they kept their private altars in their family home.
Oh, they have a nice little
They
private
had,
altar.
yeah, they had their own little altars.
Huh.
Yeah.
I don't know. I find that very nice.
Yeah.
An altar in your home.
I mean, it was like, it was cross-religious acceptance, and
Beautiful.
practices. There was, I mean, that was the whole kind of point of like Life of Pi, where he wanted to be a Buddhist, but he also wanted to be like, Christian or in Islam. Like he wanted to,
he wanted to have
he wanted to
another-
be like 7 different religions.
I see.
And they were like, no, you have to choose one. He's like, why?
Yeah, why?
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. So 6 kids, 2 parents,
Yes.
8 people in a house. It sounds like The Sims.
Malcolm took an interest in women's clothing at a very young age, and at 5 years old, he started wearing dresses.
Nice.
It's unknown how long they were able to enjoy this before some boys in the neighborhood
Yeah.
do what all little shitty boys do and made fun of him.
Of course, there's always little shits in your neighborhood. Everyone's neighborhood had a little shit. Sometimes I was that little shit. But then other times, that other little shit will come and ruin your day. And it sounds like that's what's happening here.
Only I get to be the bully to this kid. You don't get to be the bully. I'm the bully to you.
Let Malcolm's siblings do what all siblings supposedly do, is make fun of him, but you don't get to do it.
So Malcolm stopped wearing girls' clothes.
No, I'm so sorry, Malcolm. It was the 40s, actually going into the 50s now.
At around this young age, Marsha would later describe being sexually assaulted by a teenage boy in the area.
No! I'm sorry, but like, it just hurts.
Yeah.
Such a young kid and
Yep.
something so horrible. Fuck that person. I hope they got screwed over in prison, literally.
I think never mind. I wanted to be an optimist and be like, oh, karma comes to all, but
It's America.
It's
No, it
America.
doesn't.
It doesn't. No.
No,
Fuck
no. Money talks here.
Money talks, baby.
All right.
Anyway, not a lot else is really known about Marsha's early life, except that there was a clear attitude in their home when it came to being quote-unquote different.
Mm-hmm.
Alberta would say that being a homosexual was like being lower than a dog.
Oh, what?
It should come as no surprise then that Malcolm made the choice to be celibate until
Yeah.
they left home.
Yeah, that would make sense to me. I'd be
Being-
like, well, just keep it quiet, keep it to
Yep.
myself, and just focus on getting out of the house.
Just get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Being gay had become sort of a pipe dream for them, not something that would ever be realized in their lifetime if they stayed. But when Malcolm graduated at 17, they moved to Greenwich Village in NYC, baby.
Ooh, Greenwich Village. What was Greenwich? Okay, well, I know Greenwich Village in the 90s was hip. What was it like at this time?
It was like the gay capital.
So
That was where you were. It was like
So
LGBTQ
found
neighborhood.
their tribe. He
Yes,
found
his tribe for sure.
So we're saying he, I guess, just because this
He's
is
still
before-
identifying as Malcolm.
at
I'm
this
saying
time.
he and they.
Yeah, I just want to
interchangeably.
make sure. So
Yeah.
for in case any listeners had any questions as to why later on.
So they had with them a bag of clothing, $15, and the pipe dream that maybe they could be gay someday. They waited tables. They started getting involved with the LGBT community and
Love.
in the new circle of friends and their chosen family.
Yay!
Malcolm had the opportunity to have others see them as they always saw themselves, and so they started going as Black Marsha.
Black Marsha.
Black
Not
Marsha.
just Marsha, just Black Marsha.
Yeah.
Was there a white Marsha?
I don't know, probably. I have no idea.
She couldn't just be Marsha?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, she couldn't just be Marsha. It had to be Black Marsha.
All right. As long as she wore that name with pride, go for it.
Yeah. So let's talk about Greenwich Village for a bit.
Yeah.
Following World War I, there was a kind of exodus to the area.
Uh-oh.
It started to grow a reputation for being a sizable community for the LGBT world.
Oh, so this is a version of straight flight.
So short-haired women and long-haired men would walk hand in hand down the street. That kind of thing. This is where you can go if you're quote unquote different.
Okay.
Prohibition of the 20s and 30s helped to insulate their community and let it grow underground as speakeasies became places revered for their immoral nature anyway.
Yay! Immoral nature.
Sins, baby.
We all love a good sin.
It remained sort of a bohemian paradise.
I sounded like such an old,
I loved
disgusting, gross man from the South.
Yes, we all love good sin. You sounded like Beetlejuice.
Did I really?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, yay.
Who is also
He's
a
pretty gross.
disgusting southerner.
He is very nasty.
Very gross. So, yes, you nailed the
He's
hit the nail
industrious.
on the
I
head.
will say that. He put up many businesses in that movie, such as a club and strip club. You know, good on him for being an entrepreneur, but man,
As
he
a
was
kid,
gross.
I never understood that. And as an adult, I'm like, how did they let kids watch this?
Yeah, my dad was like not phased at all. My mom and dad loved the movie. I think, you know, because like, look, man, we all our generation still grew up with Looney Tunes on Saturday mornings. We saw some shit. Okay? That primed us,
Yeah.
I think. Okay? Bugs Bunny was telling us that being yourself and dressing up and being witty was a great way to be.
Yes.
But then the background, you'd see like, you know, Yosemite Sam do some fucked up shit.
Yep.
Yeah. Wacky Racers was not a good one to watch either. Oh, well. Reckless driving. Don't
Everyone
do it.
got scarred. It's great.
Yeah. All right. So Marsha found her chosen family.
Yes,
And we're
and-
very happy for her in this moment.
They're hanging out in these speakeasies and they're just kind of letting it simmer in there. And it remained sort of this bohemian paradise of Manhattan. It became an incubator for countless artists and poets in search of inspiration.
Excellent.
A lot of people lived at this one specific hotel. I think I'm gonna go into that.
Okay. Real quick, though, it's kind of giving me vibes of what I learned about from like Harlem. Like Harlem was this city of well, I don't know much about Harlem, but it was a primarily black city. If it was not entirely black, very like mismanaged and misappropriate or mistreated by the government. And then they formed a very, very tight-knit creative community there. And out from that came jazz.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of artists and stuff that were,
Yeah.
and I think I don't know if Greenwich Village is. You know what? Let's fucking figure this out.
Well, they were to also say Harlem was not just mistreated by the government, they were mistreated by every white person around you usually. Rough times. I need to learn more about Harlem.
Okay, so Harlem is uptown and Greenwich
Okay.
Village is downtown.
Okay. Yeah.
So
okay, I see.
Harlem Greenwich Village.
I see. So, on the same
It's like
island.
literally on the same. It's on Manhattan.
It's all in Manhattan.
So it's all in Manhattan, but it's different parts of town.
Yeah.
By the early 60s, Mayor Robert Wagner Jr. decided to go on a full anti-gay campaign in the run-up to the 1964 World's Fair. He engaged his officers in all sorts of shit undercover, mostly going to gay bars and busting the men inside and revoking the liquor licenses of the bar that was involved.
I cannot imagine how terrifying it would be to just be like, I can't even go out to go hang out with my friends because it might get raided by the cops.
No, it gets fucking worse than that.
Oh, shit.
There's other just accounts of flirting with men on the street, seducing them, and when the men fell for it, they were arrested for solicitation.
Ah!
Yeah. They just pretend to be gay out on the street and go hit on people, and basically it's like, well, are you into it? Yep.
Oh,
well, we're going to arrest you now.
That's entrapment.
Yep. Totally. For sure.
Fuck off.
The bars that accepted gays in the area were almost exclusively owned by the mafia. They watered down the drinks, they treated their customers like crap, and they let the buildings they owned break down. But they also paid off the local cops so that the raids were less frequent and less intense. Liquor laws of the time prohibited bartenders to knowingly serve alcohol to a gay person, so there was a little bit of insulation there. Cops would come in, they'd pick up their gayola, as they called
They're
it.
what now?
Yeah, the payola is like the payoff to basically be silent about a thing. It was based off of some big LA thing that was like a whole payola case. But basically they called it the gayola because it was the payoff that you got in order to like not raid the gay bars.
I see.
Like you went in, you checked, nothing's going on. All right, I'm done. But I walk out of there $3,000 richer or some shit.
Yeah.
They'd wait for another night to raid the bar, or they'd raid it earlier in the evening so that there weren't many people around. Basically, they'd time it.
Right, to try to minimize the damage to their
So and
benefactors at this
when it's
point.
the cops' job to be raiding these bars and they're getting payoffs, like they can do it at their discretion, but then their discretion can happen to be when these places are, not busy.
Right.
As happens with far too many poor people and desperate people of color, Black Marsha needed a way to pay her bills, so
Yeah.
she started working on the streets.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to pay bills. You can't let yourself starve.
No, she had to eat. She had to live.
She had to have a roof over her head.
Her crowd hung out around the Howard Johnsons on the 6th Avenue and 8th Street.
Okay.
She would go on later to say that there in her new home, she came out, and from then on, she said, my life has been built around sex and gay liberation at being a drag queen, quote, and sex work. And she would go on to be arrested for over 100 times for sex work.
Oh my God.
For sex work, cross-dressing, and numerous mental health-related issues, because she had a lot of episodes.
Yeah, you have to remember, I guess this is a time where cross-dressing was actually illegal. Being gay was actually illegal.
Yeah.
So to change your name
And
like
then there's
that.
a specific focus that you're trying to specifically get rid of these people so that when visitors from around the world come to your country, there just don't happen to be any gay people because it's the World's Fair
Doesn't this sound just
they're
like
prepping for.
what's going on recently with that San Francisco mayor who was just like, I remember seeing this somewhere where he was just like, oh, something was coming to San Francisco, and so that they were moving a lot of the homeless and kicking them out and getting rid of them. Because he's like, well, I mean, if somebody's coming over to your house, you got to clean up, you got to take the trash out. Like he said something similar or just as shocking. I have to go back and see the actual quote, but that's pretty much how he saw the homeless there. And it's become a huge issue. Terrible. So this sounds just like that.
Marsha has been labeled as many things. Transgender, drag queen, gender nonconforming, gay, and transvestite. In general, I think the fact that they themselves identify as a drag queen, gay, and transvestite tends to lead towards the continuous identification, at least on some level, with the male part of her. She can, even though she was a drag queen, she still considered her a gay person and not a lesbian.
Right, okay.
And a transvestite, which is a man that dresses up as a woman.
Yeah, so her identity is still rooted in
Malcolm.
Yeah, Malcolm.
But she has a gay identity that is Marsha, even though Marsha is,
Okay.
So her good friend Sylvia Rivera insisted on the term transvestite, which is what she and Marsha were most popularly known as, and Sylvia made good points to that end in an essay she wrote called Transvestites, Your Half-Sisters and Half-Brothers in the Revolution. Quote, transvestites are homosexual men and women who dress in clothes of the opposite sex, end quote. According to her description in an interview with Alan Young in 1972, a transvestite is still like a boy, very manly looking, a feminine boy. Johnson distinguishes this from transsexual, defining transsexuals as those who are on hormones and getting surgery. Also discussed are Johnson's experiences of the dangers of working as a street prostitute in drag, and Johnson's husband, who was murdered. So Johnson was married to a man.
Marsha?
Marsha, yeah.
Oh, and her husband died?
And her husband died, yes.
Whoa, when did that happen and what happened?
They literally basically just say it in passing.
What?
Yep. It's pretty like she was married for a little while and then he was gone.
Oh my God, that's not something you just say in passing, but okay.
He was murdered. Like, that's
Murdered.
literally like...
Especially he was murdered. That begs
I know,
a follow-up
it's fucking
question.
terrible, right? It's crazy.
Oh, and then another follow-up. How are you, Marsha?
Not good.
Oh, God.
She's...
Somebody ask her how she's doing.
Johnson and Rivera's interviews and writings in this era also at times used terminology in ways that were sarcastic and camp, other times serious, or all of the above at once.
Mm-hmm.
Although Marsha was the far dominant side of her personality, there was very much still a large man active in her mind, and he stayed active throughout Marsha's life.
Okay.
Her friends said it was like this schizophrenic switch would turn, and the sweet, loving, and saintly Marsha would turn into Malcolm again.
Oh.
Yeah. Malcolm appeared when Johnson's angry, violent side sometimes emerged when Johnson was depressed or under severe stress.
Oh, shit.
When Malcolm was around, he would become a very, quote, become a very nasty, vicious man looking for fights, end quote. Johnson's voice would lower into a deep register and when Malcolm came out. Like, it would just
That's
be a
terrifying.
totally different person. Yeah. And when you are, like, constantly on the brink of homelessness and you are a sex worker...
you're stressed
You're
as
stressed
fuck.
and depressed as hell.
Yeah.
So,
I can imagine Malcolm probably came out daily.
quite a few times, yeah. By 1966, Marsha was living on the streets, engaging in survival sex, and had formed the name we all know so well, Marsha P. Johnson.
Uh-huh.
The Johnson was based on the Howard Johnsons she hung around.
Okay.
She added the P because she was asked so frequently for her gender information, and this was always her response. Pay it no mind.
Nice.
Yeah. She was a well-known transvestite in the area, but because she was homeless, she did not engage with some in what some would call high drag or show drag.
Well, yeah, you're homeless. Where first off, you don't have money for a home. That's where all your money's going to start trying to go to.
Yep.
You can't afford to try to make your own stuff on that level unless you maybe find things. But I can't imagine day to day
Actually,
having to just be like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to have a roof over my head at the end of the night. That's terrifying.
It fucking is. It's terrifying. And you say, like, use what you can find because she didn't have the money to be able to, like, actually spend resources on that.
Yeah.
But so she would sleep under these tables that were used for sorting flowers in the market.
Ah.
And she usually had a fresh flower crown on her head, like, every day because she would just
excellent.
have, the extras or whatever.
Yeah. She's still fabulous.
Yeah. She loved her shiny clothing. She would drape her long body in flowing robes and shiny dresses.
Nice.
And she would love wearing brightly colored wigs and was often seen in red plastic high heels.
Ah.
Drew attention.
Red heels.
Red heels.
That's an attention grabber.
It is.
News bulletin.
News bulletin. Elsewhere in the nation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go through these quite as bulleted as normal because in the late 60s it was just a huge clusterfuck of problems and fallout and activism that kind of just created this political turmoil soup of tension.
We know what that feels like.
We've been boiling over for a while.
Yes, we do know what that feels like.
And in order to fully understand all of the subversive and unspoken feelings of the time, you need to know exactly all the shit that's going around the world at that time.
Context is key.
Yes. So in the 50s, there was this huge general fear of communism, so we dealt with the McCarthy era of investigating anyone in suspicion of being, quote, un-American, and basically ruining the careers of countless people in the search to root out any possible weak links in government work.
Like Nancy Reagan, although that was more in
That was-
Hollywood.
That was in
first.
Hollywood, and yeah,
But
and that was a
there's
little
a-
later than this.
Government version of that too.
For sure. But they'd been fighting with spy infiltration from the Russian government for years, and this was just another way they could root out anyone that was not normal.
Yeah, great.
This largely included the LGBTQ, which was because it was an overt threat to outing them and putting them in danger of facing a hugely homophobic public. By the early 60s, the scare had largely died down due to new activist movements that demonstrated against the tactics of the HUAC, the House Un-American Activities Committee. JFK fucks up in Cuba, and he spends the rest of his life kind of regretting that. Things are getting heated in Vietnam, and more people are being sent over there. When Johnson takes his place, he runs his next election campaign on the promise of trying to de-escalate things over in Vietnam and end the tensions. He wins in a landslide, and then he spends the next 4 years sending hundreds of thousands of Americans over to Vietnam to rape, pillage, plunder, murder countless
Yeah,
Vietnamese.
the exact fucking opposite.
The exact fucking opposite from what he promised.
Yeah.
4 black kids sat in a white-only booth in a restaurant, refused to leave, and started the spark of the Civil Rights era. We have Martin Luther King Jr., Malcolm X, March and Selma, James Meredith enrolling in Ole Miss, the Watts race riots, the realization that there's just a shit ton of black people out there that deserve to be treated with the basic respect one should have for all living things.
Yes, see us as American citizens.
Johnson,
Not me as an us, but
yeah.
Yeah.
See us as people. See people that are this color as people that don't look like you.
Yeah, that deserve all the same rights.
Guess what?
Of every other citizen.
You can
and
say
human.
words and I can say words, and we're 2 people. Great. Johnson in this time signs the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, and he signs the Medicare bill.
Ah.
The pill is invented in 1960 and starts taking the conversation about contraceptives into the public eye and giving power to women. It starts with married women only, but doctors are quick to adapt to the realistic needs of patients. So by 1965, that was a readily available option if you knew the right doctor.
I wonder why it was married women first.
Because they didn't want it to be permission for you to go and be promiscuous.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Because our virginity and purity
And it was
is
like, do you guys have
so delicate.
5 kids already? Do you maybe want to not have 7 more?
Yeah.
Here's a pill. Because you're married and your husband gets to keep fucking you no matter what. But you don't have to have a baby with him again.
Doesn't solve all my problems.
Oh, but if you're single, just keep your fucking legs closed. Solves that
I don't
problem.
even know what to say to that.
Solves that
I
problem.
just fucking hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And I
We've
thought
talked
we
about-
were done with this.
I know.
Sorry. Little feminine rage here.
Feminine rage. Zombie Hannah Moses got enraged.
Yeah, fuck off.
It's okay.
Not you. Not you.
no,
or
that's
any of the
fine.
listeners. To the government. The men. The old white men trying to make decisions for everyone. Fuck you. Anyway.
I get it, honey. I get it so much.
I know. I know. This is old news, but
Yeah.
it should have stayed old news, you know?
A woman named Betty Friedan publishes The Feminine Mystique, and she launches the modern feminist movement.
Uh-huh.
Gloria Steinem follows not long after with her Playboy Bunny article,
Oh,
and
yes.
the National Organization for Women is founded. Women start protesting on national stages at Miss America.
Oh, yeah.
They held counter pageants of their own to protest the exclusivity of Miss America.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the attention it brings, Pepsi-Cola removes their sponsorship of the pageant, saying it no longer represents the very values of American society.
Hey.
Activism against the Vietnam War was growing. Teach-ins, sit-ins, marches, they were all common in major cities to protest the atrocities happening overseas. This cause is helped by the most trusted man in America at the time, Walter Cronkite.
I know the name. News anchor guy, yeah?
And that's the way it is.
Okay. So, news
What?
anchor guy.
Yes.
Okay.
He was in Vietnam during the aftermath of the Tet Offensive and broke a long-standing tradition for journalists. He spoke openly about his personal views on war, saying it could only end in a bloody stalemate. Which
Brave
is
to
fucking
do.
right. The U.S. is in a race to space with Russia, reigniting what people had hoped was a dead hatred of the red commies.
Yeah, no, we're also having some issues with Russia today. So many things have come back around.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at that, guys.
It never got better, guys.
No.
Fucking never got better.
We got to do this all over again. It's our turn.
Gay Americans in the 1950s and 1960s faced an anti-gay legal system. Early homosexual, this is from Wikipedia. Early homosexual groups in the U.S. sought to prove that gay people could be assimilated into society, and they favored non-confrontational education for homosexuals and heterosexuals alike. And throughout, the rising generation of the 1960s was growing out of the religious fervor of the previous decade.
Yeah.
Kids forced to grow up in church in highly judgmental and conservative communities found freedom in the counterculture movement of the late 60s. We've got the hippies, the Love-Ins, Haight-Ashbury, the Summer of Love, Woodstock. All in all, people were learning how to be allowed to live. Black people and women were asserting their rights as adults in the nation, demanding for equal pay, equal voting, equal treatment.
Equal education.
To date, I know of none of those things that have actually come to full fruition for any of those groups.
There was, I mean, it's even to the point where I think I saw something about a bunch of kids in New York that are in high school. We're seeing that their schools, that there were, for those higher tier high schools, like the ones that are like AP,
Like the prep schools?
like prep schools, you know, like gifted, super smart kid schools,
Yeah.
STEM schools. So many of them, the students that they're selective because they want to keep them small. And so then this one kid was like, dude, majority are white.
Yeah.
And then you
And
have
it's also
then you have
who
the
can
Asian
pay?
Americans. Then there's like 2% are black kids or something.
Yeah.
It was very, very
But it's also
astounding.
who can pay to get their kid in there.
This is just based on acceptance rates though.
Fucking
I know.
ridiculous. Oh my God.
Anyway,
But
yeah,
also,
no.
how expensive is the application process?
No idea.
How much does your
Yeah.
income actually limit you from even being able to, like, I remember having to apply for colleges, and it was expensive
Yeah.
just to apply.
I know.
Much less to actually get accepted and go.
Yeah. There's so many problems.
It's very upsetting, yeah.
But we're going to focus on this period in time.
So gay people were showing up, they're living their lives authentically, and they were creating communities that supported them. But it was a lot.
Yeah.
And it was all kind of happening in this neighborhood. Which brings us to the night of June 28th, 1969, in a little-known mafia-owned gay bar in Greenwich Village. The Stonewall Inn was one of the first gay bars to allow women and drag queens inside. And the party was hopping.
Fuck yeah.
In the early hours of the morning, a small group of police officers called the Public Morals Squad sent 4 plainclothes officers into the Stonewall Inn to assess the situation. Like I said earlier, raids normally happened earlier in the evening, or the owners were tipped off before the raids to give the customers ample time to scram, keeping extra liquor in cars down the street or behind secret panels. But this night was different. And this night, it got out of hand.
Yeah.
So the raid goes down, they come in and they're checking all of these IDs, and people are getting taken out because they have all these fake IDs.
Right.
And they're being brought out in cuffs. And when the lights go up in the raid, anyone without the ID got arrested, and any man that was dressed in women's clothing was arrested. And any woman that was not wearing at least 3 feminine pieces of clothing was arrested. Yeah, for real.
What? Like, so I couldn't
Like,
wear
I gotta
pants?
have a bra and panties and, like, a pair of high heels or, like, a skirt or something. Like, I've got to have a blouse.
I can't
and,
just be
like,
comfortable.
No.
I can't just show
If
up.
I showed up in Chuck Taylor's t-shirts, jeans, and my socks, like, they'd arrest me.
All right. So let's say I prioritized flat shoes.
You'd
What if
have
you're
to
wearing a
have like
jumpsuit?
you'd have to have like feminine. They'd have to be like pink loafers or some shit. Like obviously like girly flats.
But I don't like pink.
They'd have to be girly flats then. Like it didn't. Maybe it could be black or brown or whatever. But they'd have to be like cute shoes. You know,
This is so stupid.
it's very.
This
stupid.
is so stupid.
As the riots broke out at 1:20 in the morning, Marsha heard about the riots and went to her friend Sylvia, who was sleeping on a bench at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So since I'm not going to get into the other, because this was part of a series when I first released it with
I see.
Kyria, I'm like, okay, I wrote it as a series of 3.
Mhm.
But since we're not going to do the other 2 kind of right away, so they're bringing people out in cuffs,
Mhm.
and people start, kind of yelling at them and
Right.
stuff. And there's someone that they've brought out named Stormy, and Stormy is kind of like muscle. And
Okay.
as they're bringing people out, she starts like fighting with these guys.
Yeah.
And so the fights kind of get out of hand, and so then it becomes like kind of
An all-out brawl?
Yeah. So, well, not really a brawl. The police are beating up on prisoners.
Never mind. I thought they were fighting
and
back.
the
My
prisoners
bad.
are trying to fight back a little bit, but like it's not going well.
Yeah, they're not trying to hurt. They're just trying to like get free.
Yeah. So a little ways down the street, and this is kind of where the story differs, because like according to the story that other people tell, things pretty much quickly devolved after that, and they started throwing shit, and it was like an all out riot, and all
Yeah.
the bottles got smashed. It was a whole thing, and it got started right away. According to Marsha, she heard about the riots that were happening. She went and found her friend Sylvia, who was sleeping on a bench, and they go to this place, and she like has this shot glass,
Okay.
and she throws it down at a car, like at a police car.
Oh, okay.
And it's a whole thing.
Got it.
But according to Marsha's own account, she didn't show up with Sylvia until around 2 a.m. By that time, the police had set the Stonewall on fire.
Oh God.
Basically, they actually missed the whole set of the riots where like they were actually throwing shit and fall and the shot glass around the world had already fallen much earlier, and the riots had already been going on, and the anger had already been there, and so by the time they showed up, it was on fire.
Okay. God.
Just fucking sucks.
Why would they set it on fire? I guess I know why, but it's just like
Because they could.
I know, but they didn't have
Because
to.
all cops are bastards.
Yeah.
There, I fucking said it.
Yep. I'm not gonna say all cops, but there is too many to be ignored.
Way too many to be ignored.
Yeah, way
man.
too
It is
many.
a whole systemic issue.
It is a systemic
of
issue.
Recruitment and marketing and who they're targeting.
Yeah. Especially at this time, they're pretty much all crooked.
Yeah. The next night, Marsha was up a lamppost during the riots, and she dropped bricks onto the police windshields, and she shattered them.
Oh, I hope she was singing a song while she was doing it.
Yeah.
I would be. Just like smash the windows in your car.
Actually, there's like a lot of moments where they were singing songs like, as a group.
excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. You gotta sing if you're
It
rioting.
was the whole thing. Yeah, what's a riot without
Without
what's a
singing and
revolution without
chanting?
singing and music?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Following the riots, Marsha joined an activist group called the Gay Liberation Front, born directly from this event.
Excellent. Organize.
This was the new passion, activism. People needed to be allowed to gather peacefully without fear of arrest or raid. This became a focus of the community at large and spent the next year creating safe spaces. The following year, on the anniversary of Stonewall, Marsha took part in the Christopher Street Liberation Day March, what would go on to become known as Pride. Pride. At this march, the organizations scheduled a series of 4 dances to be held at NYU's Weinstein Hall as dance affairs.
Dance affairs.
Yes, and that would help raise money for legal, medical, and housing services for the gay community.
Excellent. Good.
Later that year, in August of 1970, she staged a sit-in at NYU after administrators canceled those dances. Over the course of a 5-day sit-in, Marsha and Sylvia came up with an idea. There should be a home set up for the non-conforming youth of the area.
Yeah.
Thus was born STAR, Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries.
Aw, star.
Originated as a radical political collective that also provided housing and support to homeless LGBTQ youth and sex workers in Lower Manhattan, Sylvia and Johnson were mothers of the house and funded it all through their own sex work.
Wow.
Marsha was offered the position of president, but turned it down because she believed someone with a more linear brain would be better at running it.
A more linear brain.
She's like, I am not organized enough
Yeah,
for this.
somebody, I can help, but like I can't run it.
So STAR was for the street gay people, the street homeless people, and anybody that needed help at the time. Marsha and I had always sneaked people into our hotel rooms. Marsha and I decided to get a building. We were trying to get away from the mafia's control at the bars.
Yeah.
That's from Sylvia. Sometimes they snuck up to 50 people into a room at a time.
Whoa. Fire hazard.
Yeah.
Sorry, ladies, but that is a fire hazard.
It was bad, yeah.
I know what you're trying to do, and I'm glad it worked out, but like, yeah.
Marsha and Sylvia held a dance fundraiser in November 1970 and were able to raise the funds to buy a 4-bedroom apartment.
I love that it's a dance fundraiser. Because
Yeah.
people love dancing.
We don't have enough like actual like let's have a dance, like let's have a sock hop or like a ball or whatever.
Sock hop.
Dude, I miss like social dances. I think they're so fun.
You know what I really missed out on that I never got to do? Drive-ins.
I love drive-ins. Oh my God. Gary and I used to go to like the double feature drive-ins in Sacramento when I'd go down and visit.
That's so sweet.
We'd sit on his little trunk and we just watched movies.
Yeah, I never got a chance to do that.
It was always, we usually saw exclusively really terrible horror movie double features.
I feel like that fits.
Yeah, it
That
was
fits.
appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cute.
I miss drive-ins. They're
Yeah.
pretty fun. So they hold this dance fundraiser and they are able to raise the funds to buy a 4-bedroom apartment. It had no electricity and no heat.
Oh, in New York?
In New York, yeah.
Oh my God. How did
early
they?
in 1970.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Two people of color in 1970. Two women of color.
No, I know. But I'm just saying, how the fuck do they stay warm? What did they do?
They worked fucking tirelessly. They repaired it as much as they could. They housed as many uses as they could. They
body heat.
Yeah. But they also, I think they got the heat working again. They
I
fixed
hope
it.
so.
But they had to work a lot to
Yeah,
actually get it
Okay.
there.
Just making sure.
But it was only active for a few months because they had to. It was sex work that actually funded the thing. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of sex work to keep that running. And
Yeah.
they only were able to fund it for a few months. It shut down in July 1971.
Yeah.
One of the big issues of the early LGBT movement was that there was very little recognition towards trans people and language in writing in support of equality. Basically, a lot of the issues with the early feminist movement was that feminists were judgmental bitches. So,
they were turf.
yes, basically, there was a lot of TERFs, and
Of course.
and pretty much any non-binary identifying
Cis woman.
person was not welcome in the feminist movement. If you were not a cis woman,
they did welcome men. That's right.
No, if you were not a cis woman, you were not welcome.
Okay, so yeah, if you were not a cis woman, you were not welcome.
Like if you were identifying as a woman, no.
No. They wanted it on the birth
If you ain't got a clear vagina, we don't want you.
If you don't got 2 X chromosomes, they did not want you.
Because that's
Which
what
is
made all the
just
difference, right?
So short-sighted. And so, yeah, judgmental and small-minded.
You're also a fucking reject. Like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? You're a reject and they're a reject and you're coming together
None of us are
for
winning.
this whole point of of getting acceptance and stop being rejected for who you fucking are. So what the hell are you doing being so exclusionary?
I'm going to assume it's the show of the times where they just did. It's like being a gay man wasn't, I guess, an issue for women. Some women, obviously the conservative side, but I mean, at this point, I don't know.
No, because there were lesbian women and there were gay men, so that made sense to them. But having gender non-conforming
Yeah, I think that
issues
just,
like the
that it was
identity
a step
part of
too
it,
far for them,
it's way too far. Yeah.
which is just ridiculous.
You can
now.
be a man and love a man, and you can be a woman and love a woman, but God forbid you are born with boy parts and you identify with girls.
Which doesn't make sense to me. If it's like, look, if you don't care who they love and how they identify, shouldn't really matter either. It doesn't affect you. But they're all, let me guess, they're all worried about the children.
Well, and a lot of them were also pretty bi exclusionary too.
Really?
Yeah,
No, that I did not
still
know.
a lot of people.
It just
think
said
bi
pick a
people are
lane.
just not real. Yeah, it's always pick a lane.
Jesus. Guys.
Yeah.
The lanes were painted on the road, okay? By probably a one person. Okay? That does not mean that has to dictate everyone's life forever and always.
Yeah. So basically there were no laws that, because of the fact that there was no language to include trans people, there was no protection for trans people. They could exclude them at pretty much every angle because it's like, well, you're not one of us. Well, they're not one of us either. So I don't care what they are, but we don't have to help them now. 1972 saw the end of meetings for Star.
Yeah.
And by 1973, the movement died at the parades, when Marsha, Sylvia, and other drag queens were told to stay at the back of the parade.
No.
The lesbians running the event said that the transgenders gave the movement a bad name.
No, ma'am, I disagree heartily.
So Marsha and Sylvia marched out in front of the whole damn thing. During this whole time, and for the rest of her life, Marsha would suffer from mental breaks.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Her health
Me
worked.
too, girl.
Yeah, God.
For different reasons.
No. Her health worked fairly regularly in a multi-month cycle. Mm-hmm. We'll start with healthy Marsha, happy Marsha.
Okay. Happy.
Healthy Marsha, happy Marsha. Then depressed and stressed Marsha. Depressed and stressed Marsha would have a break, often turning into Malcolm and becoming violent or walking down the street buck-ass naked.
Oh.
Authorities would bring them in, usually take them to a mental facility, pump them full of chlorpromazine, and keep her there for 2 to 3 months at a time.
God.
Yeah. Friends frequently had...
They probably billed her out the ass.
No, this is like, she was homeless, so basically it went on like just an unpaid bill.
Oh.
I don't think she had Medicare or anything. She just...
Oh, okay. I guess I don't know how that works then, but
infinite...
like, if that happened to
I
me...
I don't know how that works, but it just
I would
seems
get
like...
billed ridiculously.
Yeah. I can tell what's on your mind.
Yeah.
I get it.
I'm in debt.
Who the fuck isn't these days?
I know.
So authorities would bring her in, they'd pump her full of drugs, and they'd keep her there for 2 to 3 months at a time. Mm-hmm. Friends frequently had to find money to post her bail or get her out of Bellevue, which was the mental facility.
Okay.
Over the next month or so, the meds would slowly wear off, and then she'd be happy Marsha, healthy Marsha. And during this time, she was also a member of multiple drag shows. Mm-hmm. So basically, when she could actually do stuff, she would show up in a big way.
Okay.
She played as the Gypsy Queen with the Angels of Light in 1973 and was most known for being a part of a troupe called the Hot Peaches.
The Hot Peaches.
Yep.
That's a fun name.
And she was part of that troupe from 1972 all the way to 1992.
92?
Yes. She continued on in her activism for the rest of her life. She was involved with the ACT UP movement in the 80s and 90s. During that time, she lived with a friend who said he invited her in one night when it was like 10 degrees outside.
Fuck.
Yeah.
She would have died.
I feel like it's important to talk about the less glamorous aspects of a person's life because we all have them.
Yeah.
While we mostly know Marsha for her selflessness, caring nature, and activism, the period of Marsha Malcolm had lasting consequences. By the end of her life, she had been permanently banned from most bars in Greenwich Village. She had a temper, a tendency to get into fights, and was, at the end of the day, a large black man with a good punch.
Yeah. Good punch will knock everyone straight.
One of the issues that we'll get into in the... nope.
I guess what I meant by yeah, you could delete the knock everyone straight because I'm like, they could take that out of context.
What?
When you said like she has got a punch like a big black man, and I was like, yeah, that'll knock anyone straight. And then I'm thinking, well, we're talking about Marsha P. Johnson. I don't want it to be taken out of context.
They scared straight.
Yeah, that's kind of along the line. I was
they're
saying.
not going to be scared straight. No, I got you.
Okay, yeah, that's what I meant.
Oh, we don't have to take it out. Nobody thinks that you actually meant that.
I don't know. It's the internet. What?
They scared straight. Sorry.
Oh.
So there is a kind of fear that drag queens and trans people instilled in the official gay movement. And to this day, they've been fighting to get a smidgen of the acceptance in any of these communities. But it can't be overstated how insulting it must be to have been to work so hard to be accepted into gay bars at all.
Yeah.
To fight alongside those gays and lesbians. And then just to have them immediately turn their backs and be like...
And just go, we don't want to be seen with you.
No.
Get to the back of the line.
Because it would delegitimize the movement for some reason. Yeah.
I know, but I guess...
It's fucked up logic.
Yeah. I'm disappointed in the America of
it's just
past.
backwards.
And I'm also a little disappointed in America now. Very disappointed.
Yeah. I haven't not been disappointed in America for quite some time.
Because they're still having to make this fight. Just
Yes.
like they can't read to children. They can't read nice books that have nothing to do with the any of their adult shows. It has nothing to do with their adult shows. The children's thing is a completely different thing. It's like a pop star can have
I
a
know.
racy tour
Yep.
and then read to kids. I mean, I just am furious.
Here's the other part of it, though.
Mhm.
Mental illness is a fucking bitch.
Yeah, that is true. Very true.
And even if you didn't grow up in an abused home, and even if you did grow up in the most accepting environment and don't have any sort of PTSD of some sort from any trauma that's ever happened to you in your life, if you still, like, the fact is, if you start hearing someone say that you're fucked up for long enough, you will start to think that you must be fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard
If I say,
to resist it.
Hannah, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're so dumb. You're so stupid. You're so stupid. And I said that a million times. Eventually,
And my friends in high school sometimes
you'd start
say
to
that.
believe that.
Yeah, they nicknamed me Tut Tut.
What?
Yeah. She was supposed
Tut
to have
for
been my
what?
best friend, but because I had no filter, like I'm a smart person, but I say stupid shit all the time.
Who the fuck doesn't?
I know, but like, when you're a teenager, everyone really grills you about it.
I got you.
So like, yeah, they called me Tut Tut. And because I would get drunk at parties and I'd want male attention because I had validation issues, then they nicknamed me Easy Mac. Yeah, those were my friends, ladies and gentlemen, in high school. Yeah, you
My
can't
stories
escape.
I can't talk about on air.
Well, that's true. See, these were just the small issues.
Yeah.
Those were only a few of the small issues. But yeah, when you start hearing it enough, you start to believe it. And for a long time, I really thought I was an idiot.
Yeah. You're not.
No,
You're
I know
a smart
now.
person.
Thank you. I love you.
I
You're
will
so
validate
sweet.
that for you. But
No, I learned.
But
My
the point
therapist
is,
tells me.
if you hear it enough,
Yeah.
you're gonna think.
Yeah.
that
So if somebody
you
keeps
must
telling you
be
that you're an
wrong.
abomination,
then you
I mean,
think you're
that's
gonna be an abomination.
that's going to settle deep into their core.
And she was in the former category. She had a traumatic childhood already. She ended up on the streets engaging in survival sex. The sex work provided for countless youth. And all of this was basically just day to day trying to survive just life. Like she couldn't have a long-term plan.
No, because she could barely keep up with just today.
The longest term plan that they had was the few months that Star existed.
Yeah.
And then that fizzled out pretty quick.
That's so, gotta be so defeating.
It's very upsetting, yeah.
Yeah.
It took a toll. It took a big toll on her. And it brings us back to that cycle she had of the breaking down, getting committed, released, and going back to normal. She had a lot of mental health stuff, but she and Sylvia had a promise to each other that, and that was that they were going to cross the River Jordan together. That's what they called the Hudson River.
Oh, they called it the River
Basically,
Jordan.
Yeah, they called it the River Jordan, and
okay.
and basically it was like when we die, we're going together. We're going out
see.
together.
I see.
Which is why there were a lot of mixed reactions when her body was found washed ashore a couple weeks after Pride in 1992.
Oh, I didn't realize her body was washed ashore.
At this point, nobody official gave a single shit about a cross-dressed body washed ashore, and police ruled it as a suicide. Many of
They
her
didn't want to
friends...
do any work for this.
No,
They didn't want
fucking
to
no,
waste their time.
absolutely not.
Really?
Many-
Shame on you,
Yeah,
sirs.
fuck them.
Fuck them.
Many of her friends thought that even though they all noticed her mental deterioration, none of them ever thought it would take the form of suicide. That just wasn't Marsha.
Yeah.
Others in the area came forward to share that they witnessed Marsha getting harassed by some thugs in the area.
Oh, no.
Her death was considered suspicious for years until finally in 2002, the cause of death went from suicide to undetermined. And then it took another 10 years before officials finally opened the case into possible homicide.
So what year did they finally open it then?
2012.
Oh, that's so late.
When Marsha's ashes were scattered in the Hudson River, police shut down 7th Avenue to allow the mourners to have space.
Yeah.
They still haven't solved the case either.
So they knew she was important.
Open.
They knew she was important to so many people, but they didn't give a shit about actually looking into the death fully.
She was basically a sex worker until the end. There's a lot of stuff that's like named after her now, but at the time she was
I see.
Poor cross-dressing sex worker.
So disappointing.
Who washed ashore.
I want to know who fucked up. Who did this to her? I would really like to know that. I think the world.
She probably
needs to
owed
know.
money to. She probably owed some money to some mafia people or whatever, and got in with the wrong people or people. I don't know.
Or somebody was just harassing her for being a cross-dresser or a sex
maybe
worker.
it was a tourist that came in and was just like, "Fuck this," or maybe it was someone that didn't think that they got their fair share of
whoever they were. They got away with murder. If
they still
in
have
fact
not
she
been
was
arrested.
murdered.
Nobody has been arrested for this murder.
If it was in fact a murder.
No, it
knows.
looked like a fucking murder. I think the way that her
it sounded
her body
like
was like the way that her body, like I think there might have been wounds on it or something when they found it. I didn't go too much into that because I didn't really want to. But
you don't want to get depressed.
No, I definitely didn't want to get depressed, and I totally would have. So
yeah, wow. R.I.P. to a real one.
Yeah, Marsha P. Johnson.
Yes, that is her name.
P means mind your own.
Yeah, mind your own. Pay it no mind.
Pay it no mind.
Pay it no mind. It's nobody's business. At all. I don't know. I hate these types of stories where there's no resolution.
Yeah.
She's just gone.
Some of the episodes that we have are depressing, and I don't really have like a way to make them as funny as they could be or whatever.
We'll bring out the insult book. We could talk about the alleged murderers and just come up with some insults.
Yeah, that's another coping tool that we're going to be having for.
We are going to have to start
for a
throwing
traumatic
some funny
as fuck
insults.
episode. Yeah,
to get through some of these horrible people sometimes.
Right.
But
well, she wasn't a horrible person.
No, I'm talking about the murderers.
She had a horrible life.
No. I was not talking about Marsha. I was talking about the people who murdered her.
Oh yeah.
And like some
they
of the
probably
people
didn't have a horrible life. They got away with murder. They probably have not had anything that's come to them.
No, Marsha was a shining light with some issues as well. It sounds like she
wasn't
was
perfect.
plagued because the world was so difficult for her.
Yeah.
I mean, how could you not have mental health issues if there's all of this shit beaten down on you? So I hope wherever she is, it's peaceful, happy, and she gets to have all the flower crowns and flowy dresses that Marsha wants.
Flower crowns in heaven.
Yes, you get to have all the flower crowns and go to every ball you want, and you get to lead your own pride parade every day if you want.
And your mental health doesn't go in cycles. It's just always perpetually happy.
Those struggles.
Happy Marsha, healthy
gone.
Marsha. That's where you're at perpetually.
Yes. Oh, wow. Well, this has been an episode.
It's been a fucking episode.
All right. Well, you guys know where to find us. If you want to see any of our other episodes, you can find us on our website, wellbehavedwomenpodcast.com. You can find us as Wellbehaved Women Podcast at Twitter/X, I guess now.
Don't fucking go on.
Don't
try to find us on Twitter. I'm not there. I don't pay attention to it.
Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit, and
Threads,
Facebook.
if you have that, I don't.
And
it was a flash in the pan. I don't think anybody has it anymore, but it's there.
It's there, but I don't know if anybody uses it. I try to post every once in a while there. But the main ones are Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, and Facebook.
Thank you for listening to this fucking podcast.
This has been a fucking podcast.
Oh, right. Yeah.
All right. Bye.
Bye.